I ask Warwick McNaughton, please, to come to the table. Thank you for waiting so long and patiently at the back. And Marguerite, who's moving to the other end of the table. I will move this formally. Oh, sorry, it's already moved by Councillor Filipaina, seconded by Councillor Fesso. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, yeah. So it's been moved and seconded, and I'll ask Warwick to please to speak. There are two changes: one mandated by legislation, and one that is being suggested to us by officers. So Warwick, if you'd like to speak to those two, please.
As the Mayor has pointed out, there are a set of changes there which flow on from some recent legislation. I won't spend any time on those. They're very minor changes. The other change that we're suggesting is to the standing orders that you agreed to some time ago with regard to members attending by external link. And the standing order that we've put in the report is the key standing order that we're suggesting is changed. But there are other standing orders surrounding that, and I thought I just might spend a minute going through the other ones so that you have some context. Firstly, a member who attends by electronic link cannot be counted as part of the quorum. So if there's any fear that everybody's going to dial in rather than attend, well, that can't happen. The quorum has to be physically present. But if it is physically present, then the remote member can vote. So that's 3.3.2. 3.3.3 is the one you have in front of you. In terms of that one, I just point out that there's provision there for the meeting itself to give approval. And the way that might happen is that at the front of the meeting, when you deal with apologies, on the odd occasion, you also might deal with a request to attend by way of electronic link. And so the meeting at that point has the ability to approve or not approve. 3.3.4 sets out a requirement to lodge a request with the Chief Executive to attend by electronic link 2 days before the meeting, except where instances of illness or emergency make that not feasible. And then 3.3.5 sets out some duties that the chairperson has. The chairperson has to assure that the technology is working, for example, and there are a few other things that the chairperson has to attend to. And 3.3.6 allows the chairperson to terminate the link under certain circumstances.
For technical reasons.
Yes, yeah. 3.3.7 allows a person remotely to display a document electronically. 3.3.8 deals with a link failure, where an electronic link fails or there are other technological issues that prevent a member who's attending by link from participating in a meeting. That member must be deemed to be no longer attending the meeting. And the legislation goes on to say that doesn't invalidate any decisions that are made. And then lastly, confidentiality. A member who is attending a meeting by electronic link must ensure that the meeting's proceedings remain confidential during any times that the public are excluded. At such times, the chairperson may require the member to confirm that no unauthorised people are able to view or hear the proceedings. And really the motivation for presenting this suggestion to you just arises out of the fact that the technology has improved on the one hand. In terms of requests to attend electronically, there's been very few. When the governing body first debated this, the governing body was quite clear that it was to be the exception rather than the rule. But by making the change that we're suggesting, if say a councillor is overseas but it's not on council business and the councillor does want to take part in an important debate, they're able to do so. At the moment, to be able to attend by electronic link, the councillor has to be attending to council business somewhere else. And it also means that those members of the Audit and Risk Committee who live remotely out of the Auckland area will be able to attend Audit and Risk Committee meetings by electronic link.
Thank you very much, Warwick. They're both reasonably straightforward, but there may be questions. Shall we just focus on the first one that we are obliged to change because there's been a change in the legislation, adding emergency to extraordinary meeting. Are there any questions around that or comment around that? If not, let's move straight on to the second one. Sorry.
Just,
Oh,
I know it's been.
Councillor Clow.
I know it's incredibly picky. The person calling such a meeting must give every member, and maybe it should be in brackets, and the chief executive where applicable, because what if it was the chief executive? I'm just being picky there. It doesn't worry me, but obviously if the chief executive's calling the meeting.
Sorry, whereabouts are you at, Ross? We couldn't hear you very clearly into the mic. Could you just repeat that and direct us to a section?
Picky, it says the person calling such a meeting must give every member and the chief executive notice, but it could be the chief executive giving the notice.
Comment?
I'm happy for it to leave it as it is. I said I'm being picky.
It's better to leave it in than to take it out, I think.
Okay, we're on the side of caution on that one. Okay, if there's no further question or comment on that section, let's look at the electronic link, which is the one where we can choose to accept or not accept. It seems to be sensible that we broaden it a little from, you don't have to just be away on council business, but you're not able to get there. Are there any questions on that or comments? Councillor Darby.
Thanks, Mayor. Just today, for example, attending this meeting, you're listening to speakers, you're listening over here, you're observing these boards, you're looking at materials. Attending a meeting is not just looking at one's laptop, the electronic connection there, or listening on a phone. And has that been thought about, how there is a difference in the level, in the quality of attendance between being physically here and just beaming in?
So through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we have thought about it, and that's the reason why the opportunity is by exception rather than by norm. So it's just trying to increase the opportunity for people who cannot physically be here to actually participate when they couldn't otherwise be there. But it does remain an exception as opposed to doing it because you feel like it.
Yeah. I did ask the same question. Does this mean that a councillor could choose to sit in bed, not get out of bed in the morning and follow it on their laptop? And no, that is not the intention of it. And I think, it's wise to ask that question, and I think you're absolutely right, councillor. This would be an exception where there is a good reason why they can't get there. It's not about being on council business, but it's better to have somebody able to participate than not participate at all, even with the disadvantages that you've rightly pointed out. Other questions and comments? Oh, sorry, I've got Councillor Cooper. No. Councillor Clow? Yeah, there is. I think we've still got 11. Can we just double check those numbers? Yep. Thank you very much, councillors. Councillor Walker, you've got to go too. Shall I take you first?
Take me first. I think this is really good. There may be many instances where there are items of business that can be done. Am I okay? That can be done expeditiously, particularly if they might be subcommittees or committees dealing with a particular issue, or committees where there aren't many people. You need to do the business. It can be quite straightforward. You can have the information. So this is very enabling. It's also in line with the Council's climate change, adaptation and mitigation strategy, and I would think there will be an increasing number of meetings where people will engage remotely all around the planet. If we don't do that, it's crazy.
Thank you. Councillor Clow.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not really up on this, but just regards what about a quorum? Because you can't have a quorum unless you're physically there. So what does that mean? I mean, if we pass that as a general rule, then it means you're kind of basically getting around the quorum situation, aren't you? Which is not meant to be the case. You're supposed to be physically there.
So through the chair, there is a rule that the member who wishes to appear by electronic link needs to give notice to the chair and the chief executive. And so that's so that we know, but there's too many people who might ask for it to happen, then the chair would say, well, no, it's going to have an impact on the quorum, for instance. So again, this is not meant to be, as the mayor said, staying in bed and appearing from home because you feel like it, but for exceptional circumstances.
And just to clarify the other part of the question, if you're linked in electronically, you are not counted as part of the quorum.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay,
Councillor Clow?
just to be complicated, so the audit committee has to have a quorum of 2 elected members. And if there was only one there, I mean, so that's it, can't happen, can it?
Yep. No, that's correct. You'd have to have two elected representatives attending in that instance. Further questions and comments? Councillor Simpson.
Sorry, I was just sort of thinking it sounded pretty good to stay in bed, sort of coming here.
I'm sorry to disappoint
sorry,
you.
Yes. Seriously, when you trial this and it's operational, I'd like to have feedback. I'm not going to put an amendment up, but I just think this, for me, I would like to see this as a pilot. We've never done it before. I'd hate to put something into rule and then find out that it doesn't work. So I would like to see potentially after you've done 1, 2, 3 of these, or even just one, that we have a bit of a feedback how it goes. Evaluation. Thank you.
I think that's a fair comment. While we're not putting it up as a pilot, if it didn't work, we could revisit it and would revisit it quite quickly. I think you're right. Any further questions or comments on this? If not, I will put the recommendations. And I need to do it by show of hands because we have to have a 3/4 majority. So all those in favour, please raise your hands. Those against? Actually, I think it's unanimous. Thank you. We have deferred item number 14 because the Deputy Mayor has had to leave, and I think on a report of this nature we've probably got quite a lot of questions we'd like to ask the Deputy Mayor. So we come to the... No, that's not one of the questions, Councillor. Item number 15, a summary of the governing body information memorandum and briefing. We've got the forward work program and a summary of memorandum. I'll move that formally. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Collins. He's getting quick these days. Any questions or comments? No. All those in favour, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. I declare the meeting closed and thank councillors for their participation. We beat 4.